or whom you love. Today, at the end of the postlude, we're going to have combined breakout rooms, so please stay on worship. We're going to kick you out into combined worship breakout spaces. We're going to be much more careful to try to make sure that everybody's in a mixed room with both congregations, where we'll discuss a question for about 8 minutes, and then we'll all come back in the big room. May Memorial will have a separate link to join for coffee hour. So if you'd like to move into May Memorial coffee hour, you need to move into the other Zoom room, and Northborough will stay on this link. Together with our congregations for the entire month of October, we will be exploring the worship series, Beguiled by Beauty, where we will dive into our souls and the world around us to find that which brings us peace and guides us toward active hope. And now, my loves, let us enter into a time of worship. Pam, we cannot hear the sound.
Can you now?
Yep.
For the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the sky, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies.
This morning, we pause to recognize that both of our churches sit on traditional unceded native land. May Memorial occupies Onondaga land and First Parish Northborough occupies Nipmuc land. As many of us are settlers, immigrants, or descendants of those forcefully brought to this continent, we, the members of these congregations, must recognize and never forget this reality. Our church's livelihoods and histories are part of the colonization of these native lands. Let us remember that each one of us lives on ground that is sacred, ground that was stolen, ground that cries out for justice and responsible stewardship. May our remembering help us find the courage to do all we can to restore wholeness to the earth and all her peoples. Divine Goddess, holy love, pause us for this moment. Bear us up in this time, hold us for eternity. We open to the warming presence of love. We remember we came from stardust. We affirm all beings as our beloveds. Blessed be, shalom, and amen.
Today is National Coming Out Day, and we light our chalice flame. For those still living their lives in closets, come out. For those hiding their true selves, come out. For the fierce transgender and non-binary folks, they who fight just to live, come out. For the asexual, the aromantic, the bisexual, the pansexual, the grays and the demis, and all the others, come out. For the cisgender and hetero parents, siblings, uncles, and aunties and cousins, kin who are allies and companions, come out. For those who are not safe coming out to anyone but yourself, may you come out in your own heart when you are able. Come out, loud and proud. Come out, fierce and tender. Come out, healing, healed, whole. Let there be a world where we are all flaming.
And won't you join us as we sing our opening hymn? The words can be found on your screen.
Good morning. Hello. Now's the time in our service where we invite any children who are present to come join us, be on camera, and have our time for all ages together. My name is Stacy Seifert. I'm the Director of Religious Education at May Memorial, and I am thrilled to be working with a colleague who is...
Hi, I'm Deborah Zagieski, and I serve as the Coordinator of Religious Education at First Parish Church in Northborough, Massachusetts. So I wonder if you all remember that we're talking about the next few weeks, how beautiful the world is and everything and everyone in it. And remember, we had an I Spy game last week. If you weren't with us, we did. And remembering is part of today's message. In our search for beauty, we are going to remember how lovely and warm it feels when we share our loving care with someone and they share it back with us. I feel that way when I share a hug with someone. Do you?
In our search for beauty, I Spy this week, we are looking for something that can wrap us up and help us feel safe and warm, like a wonderful blanket. I wonder if any of you of any age have ever had or still have a special blanket that helps you feel safe and warm. Raise your hands if you have one like that. Anyone of any age, if you have a blanket that makes you feel safe and warm. As I scroll through, I see so many hands. I see I see blankets showing up too. Oh, that's wonderful. I have my special blanket right here. I'm gonna show it to you. Oof. My special blanket is special to me because it was a gift from someone who loves me very much. And it's heavy and soft and fuzzy. So it really does feel like a warm hug.
So I invite everyone of any age to go and find a blanket if you haven't already and bring it back, and you can wrap it around you all cozy and warm or just hold on to it. And maybe it will be your special blanket today, or maybe it's simply a cozy blanket that's nearby. See if you can find one. And now let's wrap up in our blankets or our shawls or whatever we have. And I wonder if any of you can share what it is that you like about your special blanket and how it makes you feel. And if you have something that you would like to share, please raise your hand.
Right, I'm looking. Does anyone have a special blanket that they want to share with us? I'm looking for hands.
Oh, wait, I saw one. I can't tell if that's Ava or Phoebe. I'm sorry, the camera's weird. Go ahead.
This is my special blanket. Ava got it for me on Christmas. It came with the stuffed animal.
Oh, wow. That sounds cozy and warm.
And we're looking for anyone of any age who has something to share. I see Lindy with your hand up. Do you want to share? Remember to unmute yourselves, please.
Okay, this blanket is really special because my friend made it for me. When I first moved out here, I was really sad to leave my old home. So she made me this blanket with all sorts of memory pictures on it. And that is my sister.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
I saw Phoenix's hand.
I have a special blanket because I can't bring it down because it's a comforter. So but it makes me feel safe from werewolves.
I see Heidi's hand.
Let me see.
Shirley, this is special to me because my nanny gave it to me.
And did she make it for you?
Yes.
Oh, that is special. Thanks for sharing. Just gonna look real quick and see if I see any other hands. Oh, another hand in the Crenland house. Sophia?
I don't have the exact blanket with me. I have this blanket, but there's this blanket that my grandmother made, my mom's mom. It's like a quilt with all these different patches, and it's awesome, and I really love it. But I have this blanket with me now.
Lovely. Amira, I see your hand.
I have a blanket that my grandma made for me. It's a weighted blanket.
Nice. And does it make you feel safe and warm?
Yes.
Wonderful. And Skylar, did I see your hand?
So I have 4, and so I have this Syracuse blanket that my grandma had made for me for Christmas last year, and it's really big, and it's also kind of fuzzy since it's fleece. So I really like that one. And then this is a quilt that my grandma had made me a while ago. I'm not exactly sure when, but a while ago. And then I also have 2 more on this one, which has my first and middle name embroidered on it. And then this one, which is like double-sided, and I really like those 2 because my feet are always getting cold, so I can wrap them around my feet, even when the rest of me is warm.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Skylar. And I think, oh, do I see a hand? Melissa Lesage?
Jennifer.
Say, this is Jennifer.
I'm Jennifer.
And show your
Oh,
blanket.
hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Say, tell why you like your blanket.
I like my bowling blanket because I like bowling.
There you go. Good job.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. When people are feeling scared or cold after something like a storm, one of the first things we want to do is wrap them up in a blanket because it not only helps their bodies, it helps their hearts feel better too. So this week, we are going to wrap up in a blanket whenever we feel like it. And remember that we are never, ever alone.
And remember that when we wrap other people in love, we create a much more beautiful world of warmth and goodness for everyone. So if you can all join me in a repeat after me prayer now. Spirit of beauty, of warmth and care.
Spirit of beauty, of warmth and care.
Thank you for your love.
Thank you for your love.
I can feel it all around me.
I can feel it all around me.
Help me to help you.
Help me to help you.
Give warmth to all.
Give warmth to all.
For the beauty of the earth.
For the beauty of the earth.
Blessed be. Amen.
Blessed be. Amen.
Good morning. I'm Kent Lindstrom, serving as a worship associate for May Memorial UU Society. Beauty occurs in many ways through our rituals. During this series, we will be exploring the practice of Divina, which is to immerse oneself in an experience. We will explore several types of Divina practices to engage our senses, spirits, and minds. Divina is of Latin and Italian origin, meaning divine or heavenly. It is also a variant of Davina, which is Hebrew, meaning loved one. In this series, we will encounter the divine loved one through Lectio Divina with a reading, through Sermo Divina, the Latin word for sermon, and through Visio Divina, images, music, and poetry.
All of these are portals into a sensate experience of the holy. Some forms will pique your cognitive mind, but you can also allow some to simply wash over you, infusing your psyche and soul with a mysterious sense of wonder.
Just as last week, in true Lectio Divina style, we will share a poem on the screen and ask you to read it silently to yourselves or aloud at home if you have small children. Really consider the words, then I will read it aloud. Allow the words to wash over your heart. Turn scarlet leaves, spin earth, tumble the shadows into dawn, the morning out of night. Spill stars across these skies and hide them with the suns. Teach me to turn my sullen sense toward marvel. Let green and red and dark and day concur with the returning life I am.
Pam, we're unable to hear the sound.
Okay.
Pam, did you optimize it for computer?
I tried. Hold on, just give me a second.
You're doing a great job.
Well, this song, celebrate the joy of hope, those who love. Celebrate the joy of those who love.
Thank you, everyone, as we work through new tech situations. Pam is such an awesome member of this team, and she's working from very new technology this morning. So thank you for offering us grace through this time.
Moment, I'm going to take you out on the wild streets of Northern California.
Can somebody find, there we go. One of the requirements to become a Unitarian Universalist minister is that we must complete a unit of clinical pastoral education. This can look many different ways. I personally completed my unit as a hospital chaplain at the Penn State Hershey Medical Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania. It was just like a seminary class where I had interfaith classmates in a small class where we not only had hours of contact with patients, but we also had didactic sessions about a plethora of topics and had to cultivate relationships with our classmates. You may not think that's very challenging, but in a very interfaith space, it can be very challenging for people to cultivate close relationships. We call this CPE for Clinical Pastoral Education. CPE is emotionally complicated for most people because as chaplains, we witness a lot of trauma, which can often trigger our own unrelated emotional traumas. It's hard to understand, but when you begin the process of becoming a minister, you go through a lot of changes academically, mentally, and emotionally. And we generally serve as chaplains during some very raw times in our lives. It's both necessary and complicated. As chaplains, we are called in for support for many things, among them for patients coming in alone after a trauma, for family coming in after receiving terrible news, to sit with people while they pass from this world to the next. The first night I was on call alone as a trauma chaplain was only my second week as a chaplain. That night I witnessed the devastating outcome of a horrific accident that should never have happened to anyone. Little did I know this would happen almost every day. The next morning when I got back to my rented room, I needed to finish some work for my class. And as I was sitting at the computer trying to complete this assignment, my eyes were leaking. There's really no better way to explain it. There was just water leaking from my eyes, but I wasn't crying. So I sat there and tried to continue to work, but could not stop my eyes from leaking. Finally, I just gave up on my work, sat on my bed, and sobbed. I sobbed for the deceased, their family, and the doctors and nurses who lost their patient that day. I sobbed those really hard, huge tears, heavy, loud, heaving sobs. I must have gone on like this for an hour until I cried every last tear and was just sitting in silence, wondering what had just happened, but feeling more at peace. You see, my heart was too full, and the excess had to spill out somewhere. Looking back, I realized that this hour of sobbing was my lament for the people involved in the tragedy and for all of the emotions I was holding from that day. Through the month of October, Reverend Linda and I are drawing our inspiration from the work of Joanna Macy and her spiral that reconnects. This approach of Macy's helps us to restore our sense of connection with the web of life and with one another through helping us to develop our inner resources and our outer community. It strengthens our capacity to face disturbing information and respond with unexpected resilience. Last week, Reverend Linda started us off with reminding us that we must try to come from a place of gratitude in our lives. And today, we focus on lament, or as Macy puts it, honoring our pain. We Americans often wander through life with our niceties. We often say to one another, "Hello, how are you?" And the obligatory response is, "Fine, and you?" What if one day, instead, someone asks us, "What troubles you?" What would you say? Would you be honest and vulnerable, or would you brush it off and quickly move away? So, my beloveds, I'm asking you here in this sacred, brave space, what is troubling you? I'm going to give you a few moments to share in the chat bar that which troubles you. It can be anything. It does not need to be a novel. It may just be one or two words that you understand the meaning of. You can be as courageous and vulnerable or as reserved and quiet as your heart allows. Glenn's going to play a little bit of music to accompany us. I invite you now to share in the chat bar. Fear for the election, the hate that is happening in our country, lack of empathy for fellow people, the sadness of living alone, the fear of teaching children in this time of coronavirus, the people who are dying, being short-tempered, medical conditions we may have. These are all real fears that we have. When we get caught up in the pretense that all is well, even when we know it isn't, our survival response becomes clogged and often entirely blocked. Joanna Macy writes that when she first heard the shocking news that President Kennedy had been assassinated, she was standing in the checkout line at a supermarket. Although the radio announcement had been clearly audible, people carried on shopping as if nothing had happened. Joanna, like everyone else, remained passively in line without speaking. Despite her inner response of shock and horror, she kept quiet because she didn't want to stand out from the crowd. She goes on to say that if we're alarmed by something but no one else seems to be, then we risk drawing attention to ourselves. If we express our concern, keeping quiet protects us from the discomfort of standing out. When I was sitting at my desk trying to complete my assignment, when my eyes were leaking, I was trying to ignore the problem, but it was still very present. My body was telling me that I must acknowledge this pain and that I must make space for it, or I will simply not be able to carry on. Our hearts and bodies can only take so much pummeling. Eventually, they fill too much with sadness and grief, and we must help them to find relief, to create more space for compassion. The lament is one of the oldest human art forms. These poems of sorrow, usually including a request for divine intervention, go back several thousands of years, from Beowulf to the Iliad, from the Hebrew Bible to the Hindu Vedas. We find our human ancestors crying out in suffering, asking for relief, and promising to live better lives if only their dire circumstances must be changed. If you are wondering about the difference between lamentation and whining, well, lamentation sounds better, and more importantly, it indicates a fundamental willingness to change or be changed. I'm going to say that again. Lamentation indicates a fundamental willingness to change or to be changed. Today, we all have two complicated laments. The lament for so many queer people who had to hide who they are for a multitude of reasons, and for those who have to continue to hide who they are. We also lament today for the Native people who were forced off their land, the land we now all occupy, and for all of the other things that we have to lament at this time that you shared in the chat bar. They are all important. They all matter. And we must not get stuck in our despair, so we turn to active lamentation. Lamentation can help us respond creatively to a world crisis rather than feeling overwhelmed or paralyzed by distress. Macy writes that, as with grief work, facing our distress doesn't make it disappear. Instead, when we face it, we are able to place our distress within a larger landscape that gives it a different meaning. Rather than feeling afraid of our pain for our situation, we learn to be strengthened by it. After all, in Buddhism, as with other major world religions, open alertness to that alertness that allows our heart to be stirred by the suffering of others is appreciated as a strength. I'll repeat that. Open alertness that allows our heart to be stirred by the suffering of others is a strength. And isn't that the bright nugget we're all looking for in this life? That this openness to lament, taking the time to look for and acknowledge our pain, actually makes us stronger and more compassionate humans. I want you to take a moment and think, and then respond in the chat bar with an idea that you might have about how you will allow your lament to change you, or how you will be changed by it. How will feeling these deep feelings give you strength for the work ahead? Or what have you already felt compelled to do because of your lament? I invite you to share now in the chat bar. To vote. We can all vote. If you're not able to make it to the polls or to a voting ballot box, please contact a loved one. What else? To be better humans. To stand up for those who are bullied, or less ableist language, to show up for those who are bullied. Encouraging others to vote, to stay connected, make calls for the election, to organize with others, to stay connected with those that I love. Determination to not give up, to keep working at making the world a better place. Keep sharing these examples. My experience as a chaplain intern 6 years ago did not deter me from serving families in need. I am still an active chaplain serving on call for our hospital system here in Syracuse. And after each patient visit, I sit and allow myself to feel and engage with the lament. In fact, just this past week, I had the honor to sit in witness and support as a beautiful soul crossed from this world to the next. And what is most important is that I don't allow myself to become paralyzed by my distress or sadness. I give myself time to lament in order to learn how that experience will propel me forward to make a change in my own life or work to change the world around me. So I invite you to allow lament to be a powerful, sacred tool in your arsenal of the Spirit. So this morning, my loves, as we lament either something personal or the dumpster fire that is our country, let us have hope that our lamentation will give us the strength we need to pledge to open ourselves to change so that we do embody the compassion and courage that we wish for in this beautiful and aching world. Blessed be, Shalom, and Amen. Next slide, Pam. Next slide.
Still one more?
I think so. It's a video.
What video are we looking for?
It's the Visio Divina video.
Isn't that the one that was previous? This, phooey.
That's okay. What's the next slide? You're doing a great job.
Okay, I'm trying.
There we go. Oh no, I'm sorry, go back. Try this one. No, this
Try
one.
to go back. It's
Go
not
back.
working.
Let's move on. Pam, will you go back and find the slide of the Northern Lights?
Oh, it's this one, right?
This one, yeah.
Here we go. I think I pressed it.
You're doing great. This worship series invites us to an open-eyed experience of looking around. I invite you to look around and find something to focus on. I invite you to look around and find something to focus on. It may be a detail that you rarely see, or something that you see frequently, but now you see it more deeply. Or you may allow your gaze to wander during worship as a way of giving thanks for these surroundings. Looking around, whether we do that with our eyes or other senses, is how we notice the beauty in the world and in the people we encounter, but also how we notice the suffering and hold others in love and in prayer. Give me just a moment, folks.
When you're tired and feel you can't get through, uncertainty comes over you, just look around.
I invite you to share in the chat bar the things that you're seeing around you that are beautiful.
Seem too much to bear, unsure if there's someone who cares, just look around. Whether stranger, neighbor, family, or friend, on each other in tough times we can depend. Look around, kindness, love is ours to share. We can see it everywhere. Though it might seem like forever, look around, even in the darkest night, things are gonna be alright. We'll get through this together, just look around.
Kent?
As we take a moment to settle into ourselves and with our virtual gathered community, let us use the chat bar to lift up the names of those we love who may need to receive our collective spirit of love and witness on this day and in this moment.
Please join with me in the spirit of prayer or meditation. Source of life, God of many names, source of hope. We come together at the end of another week, some worn down by struggles of health or home or work. May we be a community that makes space for the sharing of joys and sorrows, angers and hopes with grace and forbearance. In our nation's life, we pause this holiday weekend to remember the Native American lives lost from the European colonization on what is now our soil. Teach us to remember our history, though we cannot make amends for what has come before. May we learn from those ways, never to repeat them in our lives today. May we develop new ways of relating to neighbor and stranger without violence or coercion, deceit, or greed. Mother of Grace, help us to find a sense of humility where we have privilege and strength where we face oppression. In our struggles, may we learn compassion, and in our power, may we learn temperance. As a community of faith, may we be a safe harbor in a world that is often harsh towards difference. Challenge us to use our presence as a healing force for justice and equity, knowing that although we have come far in the civil rights struggles of our times, there are many people still left behind, and the work of building the beloved community is just as pressing as ever before. Won't you be silent with me for 7 breaths?
Sometimes it can be hard to see. Life is full of possibilities, so look around. Each new day is such a gift. Embrace it and the life you live, and look around. Outstretched arms and many helping hands. Don't give up on all your dreams and all your plans. Look around, kindness, love is ours to share. We can see it everywhere. Though it might seem like forever, look around, for even in our darkest night, things are gonna be alright. We'll get through this together, just look around. Look around. Just look around.
As the song suggests, we'll face this together with outstretched arms and with many helping hands. Half of our Syracuse offering today will go toward the Onondaga County Jail Ministry, and Northborough will give half of their plate to the Pastoral Care Fund, Ways to give financially to each of our congregations are listed in the chat box. There is also one other opportunity to give today. The UUA Disaster Relief Fund has been helping congregations all over the country, but is now at a historic low. Your help is needed to replenish this vital support resource. To contribute, please visit the website, which will be posted in the chat bar. With each week's message, we will find a way to integrate contemplative practices into our daily lives as a way of opening to the divine in deeper ways, thereby training our spirits for compassion in all things. This week's ritual action is a time of feeling warmed by the love of our beloved community. Set a reminder to spend some time warmed by sitting, walking in the sun, or sitting lying well wrapped and cradled in a soft blanket. As you do so, allow your mind to slow, your heart to open, your eyes to drink in your surroundings. Maybe there is something weighing on your heart that you need to lament while surrounded by warmth. You may want to put a note nearby. Your very essence is warmed by the presence of love. Be reminded to offer that warmth to others for the beauty of the earth.
The world is so varied and beautiful. Seek wisdom wherever it is to be found, and may the goodness of life, the companionship of beloved community, and the insight of the Spirit infuse your life now and always. Blessed be. Shalom and Amen. A huge thank you to everyone who helps make this worship service happen. Here in Syracuse, our office administrator, Terry, our music director, Glenn, and our religious educator, Stacy, and of course, Kent, our wonderful worship associate. In Northborough, Reverend Linda's team, Pam and Deborah, and Dennis and Chris, and all of those who helped to make this worship happen. Thank you so much. I know that Pam is working to create some shuffled breakout rooms, and as we move you into those breakout rooms, we're asking you to discuss the following question. Where is your favorite place to go to rest in the beauty of nature and to feel the warmth of the divine? The question is also in your chat bar. After breakout rooms are over, we'll all come back into this room and May Memorial members will separate for a different coffee hour. Pam, will you please open the breakout rooms? You should have an invitation on your screen to join a breakout room if you wish. Bob, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you should find an invitation. If you would like to join George, there should be an invitation at the bottom of your screen. Pam, sometimes it helps to offer my members another little offer to join the breakout room. I think you can when you open the breakout rooms. If you find the Burdicks and Richard Weisskopf and George Adams.
Okay. I'll try.
You're doing great. I think you can. I could be really wrong. In the meantime, Dennis, could you change your Zoom settings so that participants cannot share their screens?
This is not mine. Only the practices are on my account.
I can change it so no one can share their screen.
Thank you, Pam. We've run into that before, which is why we shut it off on our account.
Okay, I just did that,
Thank
but
you.
I'm not sure about moving some of your folks to the breakout rooms.
Well, you can't move them, but I think you can offer them another invitation. So if you open the breakout rooms and then click on their name, I believe you can offer them, oh wait, I can see the breakout rooms on my screen. Hang on.
I made you a co-host.
Ooh, thanks. Oh no, only host can mess with the breakout rooms. Just kidding.
Okay, well, I'm, you know, I'm clicking on different people. I can only move them.
Okay. Okay.
Is
So
this
who's in this room and would like to move into a breakout room, you should find an invitation at the bottom of your screen that says join a breakout room. If you hover at the bottom with your, actually hover with your mouse, there should be an invitation to join. But there might not be, and it's okay if you stay here as well.
Yeah, we can have our own breakout room here, or Joe, I could make you the host if you think you know how to give them another prompt.
Oh, the Burdicks figured it out, or they left.
Oh, Pam, the machine that's recording is still recording.
Oh, all right. Thank you. I'll
trim this off afterward. Yeah.